What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today, being it's Thanksgiving Day, I thought I would do something unique with my channel, and I'm going to make this all about the family. Meaning, the autographs I'm going to share with you, the NASCAR autographs I'm going to share, they are of returns from people that are related to each other. So I'm going to jump right into this and tell you who I'm talking about. And this first success is actually a dual success, a husband and wife. And this is postmarked from North Carolina. And who am I talking about other than Elton Sawyer, along with his wife, Patty Moise, on 1, 2, and a third. So what happened is I had cards of both of these individuals. I decided to send some NASCAR requests out recently, and Elton Sawyer, as you can see with Patty on the back of that card, are husband and wife. Unfortunately, Patty didn't sign this one. I was hoping that maybe she'd notice that she was on that card and sign that one too, but she didn't. But oh well, we have single signed cards by each of them, so let me tell you about both of their careers. So Elton Sawyer was a NASCAR driver basically in the 80s and 90s, and over his entire career, which lasted over 20 years, he raced in over 400 races in the NASCAR Cup Series or the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Sawyer began his career in the NASCAR Busch Series. He ran a handful of races in 1983, 84, and 85, scoring 8 top 10s while running his own team. From 1986 to 89, he ran full-time seasons with Lewis Motorsports. Sawyer ran competitively, scoring many top 10s while finishing 14th and 18th in points in all of those years. Sawyer left the Lewis organization after not winning in his 4 seasons with the team and headed to the team owned by A.G. Dillard. In 1990, Sawyer ran his best career season, scoring 4 top 5s and finishing 13th in points. However, the following year, the Dillard team faced sponsorship problems, which kept Sawyer from competing the entire year. He salvaged a 20th place finish in the points that year in 1990. The sponsorship issues that affected Sawyer in 1991 also caused problems for him the next 2 years. He was not able to find a solid ride and only competed in 4 races. However, luck changed for Sawyer in 1994 when he found a solid ride at Sutton Racing. He would go on to win his first Busch Series race at Myrtle Beach Speedway. He would only have 6 more top 10s in the remaining of that year, finishing 14th in points. In 1995, Sawyer continued driving in the Busch Series full-time for Sutton, but he was named to replace Loy Allen Jr. in the number 27 in the Winston Cup car, Junior Johnson's and Associates. In the same year, Sawyer competed in the Winston Select, driving the number 27 car of Junior Johnson that made it in, thanks to Jimmy Spencer winning twice the previous year. Sawyer started the 1996 Cup season driving for David Blair Motorsports. However, after sponsorship problems again, he was released from the team. He then decided to jump back down to Busch. However, he did not grab a solid ride until 1997 when he rejoined Sutton. Sawyer would go on to finish 8th in points. In 1998, he had a great year, finishing 5th in points after scoring 10 top 10s. In 1999, Sawyer joined Aiken Motorsports in the Busch Series. Sawyer had one of the most competitive years, winning a race at the New Hampshire International Speedway. He also scored 14 top 10s and finished 5th in points in 1999. 2000 was also a great year for Sawyer after he scored once again 14 top 10s and finished 6th in points. 2001 turned out to be Sawyer's last full season in NASCAR. He raced competitively, scoring his career high of 19 top 10s in a season while finishing 5th in points. In April 2001, the team was unable to secure sponsorship after the season folded, causing Sawyer to search for a ride in 2002. Sawyer did, raced 3 races in 2002 for ailing Jeff Purvis at Bruco Motorsports. However, David Green received the ride in 2003. So Sawyer was without a sponsor again. This basically was the end of Sawyer's racing career. Well, post-racing career, on February of 2015, NASCAR announced that Sawyer would become the managing director of the Camping World Truck Series, replacing Chad Little, who was removed from the role with the organization. Sawyer had also previously served as the director of team operations for Action Express Racing in the United Sports Cars Championship. Sawyer currently is the vice president of officiating and technical inspection for NASCAR. So Sawyer was somebody that spent basically his entire career in NASCAR in one way. Now that he's not a driver anymore, he still has a job in the sport, being I guess in a vice president type of role with NASCAR, so that's very cool. So we'll move on to talking about his wife Patty for the next part of the video. Patty began racing at the age of 16 when she drove road course races in the IMSA series. She made her Busch Series debut in 1986 at Road Atlanta, driving the number 47 Buick Regal for Randy Hope. She qualified third and finished 30th due to engine problems on the first lap. She ran another Busch race that season at North Carolina Speedway, finishing 34th. She also became the first woman to lead a Busch Series event. In 1987, she fielded her own team, the number 37 Buick. She posted 2 top 10s and 12 starts, but also had 6 DNFs, finishing 31st in points. She also made her Cup debut at Watkins Glen in the number 89 Chevy owned by Mark Reno and Ernie Irvin. The next season, she dropped to 34th in points and did not finish in the top 10 in 11 starts. She also ran 2 Cup races for Hope that year, the Pepsi 400 and at Watkins Glen, with her best finish being at 26th. In 1989, she switched to the number 45 Buick. She posted 2 16th-place runs and finished 35th in points. She also made her final 2 Cup starts at Daytona and Talladega in her own car. Her best finish was 33rd. In 1990, she sold her team to Mike Laughlin and made the most starts of her career, 24. Despite not finishing in the top 10, she finished a career-high 22nd in points at season's end. During that season, in 1990, she married Elton, whom she joined as a teammate part-time the following season at Dillard Racing, where her best finish was 15th at Dover. In 1994, she ran 6 races for Doug Taylor, who signed her to drive the next season. She had a 7th place run in Talladega in the number 44 and finished 25th in points. Unfortunately, after this, she was released and her and Sawyer started their own team. Moise ran 18 races and finished 37th in points that year. She ran 1 race the next year in the car at Dover, but wrecked early in the race. In 1998, her team was purchased by Michael Waltrip Racing and she signed to drive the car. Despite a top 10 at Bristol, she had trouble making races and finished 37th in points. She has not raced since 1998. So very, very happy to add Patty Moise and Elton Sawyer to the collection. I thought this was appropriate, being it's Thanksgiving. We're talking about a husband and wife combo in NASCAR. There's not a whole lot of those that are out there, so this is a very, very welcome addition to my collection. Very happy to get those signed. You know, unfortunately, like I said, Patty didn't sign the back of this one. Kind of wish she did, but, you know, I'll take what I can get, and we'll move on to the next family of racing. All right, so this next one is also a racing family. They are not drivers, but they are owners. And who am I talking about other than the McClure brothers themselves? 3 of the 4 McClure brothers, at least. Terry, Jerry, and Ed McClure on one, a second one, a third one, and also a 4th. And for some reason, Jerry didn't sign the 4th one, and I don't know if that maybe not him. I mean, it looks like him from the picture, but possibly that is the 4th brother, Larry. I'm not sure. But I was going through my NASCAR cards, and I basically saw these guys in every set that I basically had. And so I started doing my research, and I'm like, you know, I'm just going to find one of these guys' address and I'm going to send it to one of them. And I sent the letter, and in the letter I said, if there's any chance you can get your brothers to sign these, I would greatly appreciate it. Well, it took a little while, which is expected because, everybody doesn't live in the same place, I would imagine. And eventually, after a long wait, I opened up my envelope one day, and there they were. Signed by all three brothers, or three of the four brothers, I should say, of McClure Racing. And almost completed. And again, I'm not sure why Jerry didn't sign that, but maybe that's Larry and he wasn't available. So let me tell you about the McClure brothers and their ownership in NASCAR. Morgan McClure Motorsports was an American auto racing team that competed in the NASCAR Cup Series full-time until 2007. It operated for 28 years and ended in 2012. The team was most notable for running the number 4 from 1983 to 2010. Morgan McClure Motorsports was owned by business partners Larry McClure and Tim Morgan. Now, Larry McClure is the brother of these three individuals. And again, that could be Larry on that card, I'm not sure. Anyways, the McClure brothers, along with Tim Morgan, started this business in 1983 when they purchased a car from G.C. Spencer. The car debuted at Talladega Speedway and was piloted by Connie Saylor that year. The car finished 40th after suffering engine failure. After firing Connie because they wanted a younger driver, and after obtaining the rights to number 4 in the car he drove for G.C. Spencer, Mark Martin took over the driving duties later that year and had one top 10 finish. In 1984, the team signed Folgers as a sponsor and began racing as car number 4 Tommy Ellis. Ran 20 races that year for the team, with Lenny Pond and Joe Ruttman running the rest of the schedule. Ruttman drove 16 races for them the next season, notching 1 top 5 and 4 top 10 finishes. In 1986, MMM got Eastman Kodak sponsorship and signed Rick Wilson to handle the driving chores. Wilson got the team its first pole position at Bristol Motor Speedway in 1988, its first full season on the circuit. When Wilson announced he was leaving the team in 1989, the team was 8th in points. For the 1990 season, the team hired Phil Parsons, but after 3 races, Parsons was released in favor of Ernie Irvan. In his first race with the team, Irvan started 30th and finished 3rd. 2 races later, Irvan won his first pole position at Bristol Motor Speedway. The team switched from Oldsmobile to Chevrolet in order to get more manufacturer support. Their first race after the switch was at the 1990 Bud at the Glen. Irvan picked up his first career victory as well as the first victory for Triple M the following week at Bristol in the Busch 500. The next season, Irvan won the Daytona 500 and the Bud at Glen. When the checkered flag fell at the end of the season, the team was 5th in points. The next season, Irvan won 3 races over a 2-month stretch at the Sears Point International Raceway, the Pepsi 400, at the Daytona International Speedway, and at Talladega, respectively, in 1993. Ernie Irvan won the pole twice, as well as victory at Talladega. When Davey Allison died in an aircraft accident, Robert Yates asked Irvan to take his place. Irvan wanted out of his contract with MMM, and it ensued into an ugly lawsuit. Irvan was able to get out of it, but there were hurt feelings on both sides. For the 1994 season, the team hired Sterling Marlin to drive. In his first race with the team, Marlin won the Daytona 500, beating out, ironically, Ernie Irvan. Marlin won the 500 the next year as well, in addition to 2 more races at Darlington Speedway and Talladega. In 1996, Sterling Marlin won 2 races at Talladega and the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. After their success, the team went winless in 1997, finishing 25th in points with Marlin. After this, Marlin and the team decided to part ways. MMM hired two-time race winner Bobby Hamilton. Hamilton led 378 out of 500 laps and won from the pole at Martinsville Speedway and finished 10th in the final point standings for them. Soon after that, however, Hamilton would leave them for Andy Petrie Racing in 2001. He was replaced by Robbie Gordon, but Gordon struggled in the ride and was released just after 5 races. Mike Skinner and Kevin LePage shared the driving duties for 2 years without much success either. In 2003, MMM switched to Pontiac now. They lost their Kodiak sponsorship in 2004, but MMM remained open, switching back to Chevrolet. Jimmy Spencer drove the car most of that year, and co-owner Jerry McClure and son Eric, who we'll talk about in a little bit, drove another team car to finish 26th at Talladega. For 2005, the team signed with Lucas Oil as a sponsor and Mike Wallace as a driver. Wallace was replaced by John Andretti, P.J. Jones, and Todd Bodine for some of the races in 2005. In 2006, Scott Wimmer was announced as the driver and new sponsorship Aero Exhaust. After the 2006 season, the Wimmer and MMM group parted ways. They then hired Todd Bodine to drive the next 2 races until they could find a permanent replacement. The last 3 races were raced by Ward Burton, who at the time had not driven in a Cup Series in several years. In December of 2006, they announced that Burton would drive for them full-time in 2007. Burton was released at the very last race of the season. Mike Wallace became the next driver in 2008 for them. Rumors indicated that Morgan McClure Motorsports would prepare a number 4 Chevy to attempt in the 2009 Daytona 500, but this did not happen. On April 11th, 2009, the team made public their intentions to attempt Aaron's 499 at Talladega Superspeedway with driver Eric McClure, the nephew that we spoke of. However, the team failed to qualify for the race under McClure. That same year, Scott Wimmer attempted to qualify the car at Bristol. Wimmer made the event, and this was the first start since 2007, and he finished 29th. Well, I wish I could say that there was a nice ending to this, but Larry McClure, one of the owners of the McClure brothers, got into some legal problems with the IRS in 2009, and basically since that happened, that disbanded this racing team. They returned to the Cup Series at Bristol in 2010, but their driver Kevin LePage failed to qualify. Since that failure in 2010 with LePage, the team has never attempted another race. Officially in 2012, the team closed its doors and for now are no longer affiliated with NASCAR. So, that was kind of a lot to take in. I know this video was a little bit longer, but being it's Thanksgiving, we're talking about families. I just thought it was neat as heck to get all these signed by the McClure brothers. I really don't understand why they left Larry out of the pictures, because one of these cards, let's see which one here, one of these cards appears to have Larry, but I'm not really sure. It's like the back of his head potentially, but I don't know what the back of Larry's head looks like. So anyways, not really sure why the card companies decided to put 3 of the 4 brothers on a card instead of all 4 of them, but that's what they did. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned a little bit about NASCAR. If you did not know about Elton Sawyer and his wife, Patty Moise, I hope you learned a little bit about them and that they are a husband and wife combo since the 1990s. I look forward to hearing your comments. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, I want to say happy collecting.